Hello everyone. In this lecture, we are going to learn the chemistry or the metallurgy of some commercially important metals. So having learned the different process or the steps involved in metallurgical process, that is concentration of ores by different methods, then we have reduction of the concentrated ore into metal, and finally the purification of metals that were obtained after reduction. And along with this we have discussed the thermodynamics of reduction process. Now coming to the final product, metal. So we have different types of metal which is used in day-to-day life. So we are not going to take up all the metals, but we are going to take up some commercially important metals. So for those commercially important metals, we are going to focus on complete metallurgy. So now let's start with the first metal, that is copper. Metallurgy of copper. So now let's start. So we are going to study the metallurgical process involved with the extraction of copper. So first of all, let me give you some important tips. The main or the chief ore of copper. Chief ore of copper is CuEs2, and this is called as copper pyrite. Now if you look at this is the sulfide ore. So once we have this chief ore, the next step is the concentration of this ore. Now this being a sulfide ore, the main method employed for the concentration or the dredging of sulfide ore is froth flotation process. So this was a specific method for concentration of sulfide ores. Now once we have this concentrated ore, this ore being sulfide, now for reduction of this metal ore, we carried out the reduction from oxides, not from sulfide. As we have told you, the chemistry, the thermodynamical conditions require or thermodynamical parameters helps is more favorable from oxide than sulfide. So the next step is we have to convert this sulfide ore into oxides. Now look at this. For conversion of this sulfide ores into oxides, what we have to do is we have to undergo roasting, that is heating with air. So we have to heat this with oxygen. So now we are going to heat this. Now during this roasting process, suppose the ore may have some sulfur, means if this ore may associate with some sulfur, if this is associated with sulfur, this sulfur on reaction with oxygen, this is converted into volatile sulfur dioxide gas. If suppose this is also associated with some arsenic as an impurity, then this arsenic on roasting with air, this arsenic is again converted into its oxide. You remove one. Now we are having this sulfide ore. This means if these are present as impurities, these are removed as oxides. So this is again gas, so these are removed as volatile gas. Now look at this. We have this sulfide ore, copper pyrite. Now this on oxidation means we are going out this. The first step is undergoes breaking into respective sulfides. So we have copper sulfide, we have iron sulfide plus sulfur dioxide. Now reaction does not stop here. This copper sulfide and iron sulfide form further reacts with oxygen. So we have CuS. This reacts with oxygen gas. When this is partially converted into cuprous oxide plus sulfur dioxide gas is formed here. Similarly, this iron sulfide also reacts with oxygen gas when this gives you ferrous oxide plus sulfur dioxide gas. So now look at this, we are converting this sulfide ore into oxides. So this is the main purpose for this roasting. So whenever we have sulfide ore, the sulfide ore is roasted in air so that this sulfide ore is converted into oxide, and from this oxide will undergo reduction. So once we have this roasting, the next step is smelting, that is reduction. Now look at this, we have this oxide ore. Now in this, after roasting, the system contains ferrous sulfide, copper sulfide, copper oxide, ferrous oxide. So this roasted ore containing these sulfides and oxides is mixed with silica and coke, carbon, and this is heated. So we have this concentrated ore, that is roasted ore. We have roasted ore. This roasted ore contains copper sulfide, copper oxide, ferrous sulfide, ferrous oxide. This roasted ore is mixed with silica, that is this SiO2. Silica, this is used as a flux to remove the oxide, iron oxide that is present in the roasted ore, plus coke, that means we are using carbon. So this coke is used as a reducing agent. And this, after mixing with this is heated. So now look at this, we have a roasted ore comprising this is mixed with silica followed by coke, and the mixture is heated. Now during this heating process, let's see what is happening here. So we have, look at this, cuprous sulfide. Now this cuprous sulfide, now look at this, we have cuprous oxide. This cuprous oxide reacts with, look at this, ferrous sulfide. So because in the mixture we also have ferrous sulfide, so this ferrous sulfide reacts with cuprous oxide. When this undergoes a reaction to give you cuprous sulfide plus ferrous oxide is formed. That means even if some ferrous oxide is left, ferrous sulfide is left, so this ferrous sulfide reacts with cuprous oxide. In this smelting process, when copper is converted into sulfide, iron is converted into oxide. Now look at it, this iron oxide is an impurity. So look at this metal oxide, this metal oxide is basic, so this is basic impurity. Now since this being a basic impurity, we require an acidic flux here. So this is the reason why we add silicon dioxide, because this silicon dioxide is acidic since iron oxide is basic impurity. So we add this silicon dioxide which is present in the mixture. This is acidic flux. Now this iron oxide combines with acidic flux and this gives you slag, fusible slag. Fusible slag is used. So the purpose of this silicon dioxide which is mixed in the roasted ore is to remove this basic flux iron oxide. Now after removal of this, iron oxide, again the system may contain. So now look at this, we are removing iron oxide as a fusible slag. Now this along with this fusible slag, the molten mixture contains the molten mixture contains Cu2O and may contain some Cu2S and FeS. Now this molten mixture containing this Cu2S and FeS, this is known as copper mate. Now this copper mate contains approximately around 50% copper. Now look at this, we are carrying out this smelting process. Now ध्यान से देखिए, ये हमने रोस्टेड और में हमें मोल्टन मिक्सचर है जिसमें सल्फाइड ऑक्साइड ऑफ आयरन एंड कॉपर प्रेजेंट है. इसको सिलिका के साथ मिक्स किया प्लस कोक के साथ मिक्स किया. आफ्टर दिस नाउ लुक एट दिस, यहाँ पे जो सम ऑफ दिस फेरस सल्फाइड may react with copper oxide to give you copper sulfide and iron oxide. So the moment this iron oxide is formed, this iron oxide immediately reacts with acidic flux, यहाँ पे एक ही है, and this form fusible slag. Along with this fusible slag, the molten mixture contains a mixture of copper sulfide and iron sulfide. This mixture of copper sulfide and iron sulfide, which is known as copper mate, contains approximately 50% copper. Now look at this, in the mixture we also have coke. So we have this copper oxide. So this copper oxide will react with coke, that is carbon, when this gives you copper plus carbon monoxide will be formed. So this is carbon reduction here. Along with this carbon reduction, we may also have self reduction. Now look at this self reduction process. What is happening is, in the mixture we have cuprous oxide, we also have cuprous sulfide. So here we have cuprous oxide, we have cuprous sulfide. So these undergoes internal reduction process. So we have copper plus sulfur dioxide gas is formed. So in this, either by self reduction process or by carbon reduction from the roasted molten mixture, we obtain copper. So this is copper. Now if you look at this reaction very carefully, during the formation of copper, some gas is removed, that is carbon dioxide or sulfur dioxide. So the copper obtained at this stage, this copper is known as blister copper. Why this is known as blister copper? Because look at this, on the surface of this copper metal, some gas bubbles will be formed due to the evolution of this gas. Because as the process goes on, gas molecules are continuously evolving. Due to the movement or due to the evolution of gas molecules from this copper, some bubbles type is formed in the copper. So because of the evolution of this gases, sulfur dioxide, this appearance looks like blister form. Hence this copper is known as blister copper. So again I am repeating, why this copper obtained at this particular state is known as blister copper, because due to the revolution of this sulfur dioxide from the surface of copper, this appearance looks like blister, means some bubbles type बनेगा. जैसे स्किन में जो फुंसी होता है bubbles type बन जाता है. In the same way, some bubbles will be formed on the surface of copper, and this being blister in shape or nature, this is known as blister copper. So this is how we obtain copper from its ore. Now after this reduction process we have metal. So the final step is purification of this. Now coming to the purification part, we already discussed the purification of different metals also. Purification. So purification, one of the methods for purification of this copper is polling, as I have told you earlier. Polling. This is an old method which is specifically used for copper. Now look at why I am using polling method. Along with this copper, we may have cuprous oxide as an impurity. So this method is specifically used for those impure metals containing oxide as impurity. So this impure metal copper containing copper oxide as impurity is mixed with green logs of wood and followed by heating. So these green logs of wood produces hydrocarbon gas, and that hydrocarbon gas reduces this oxide into metal. So this is one method. The second method, or the most modern and the convenient method, is electrolytic refining. Electrolytic refining. So in this second electrolytic refining, we are using an electrolytic cell, and this electrolytic cell we are passing electric current. During this, we have looked at this anode. Now this anode is made of impure copper. So impure metal is made anode, and the cathode is made of pure copper. So pure copper is made cathode and anode is impure copper. Now the solution contains this. So we have this electrolyte. Electrolyte is salt of copper, aqueous solution of copper salt. Now we have anode. During this electrolysis, the anode is where oxidation reaction takes place. So copper metal present in this impure rod goes into the solution as copper ion, and this copper ion is reduced as cathode, and this copper is deposited on the cathode. Now during this, some of the impurities get settled down below this anode, and this is known as anode mud. And this anode mud may contain gold, this may have silver, this may have platinum, this may have lead, tin, etc. So the recovery of these elements from the anode mud may make the cost of electrolytic refining. And some of the impurities, like if suppose iron, zinc is present, then this goes into the solution. So this is electrolytic refining. So this is the complete metallurgical aspects of copper. Next we will have the metallurgy of silver, or the chemistry involving metallurgy of silver. First, that is the chief ore of this silver. No doubt this silver is a native element exists in native. Sometimes this may also combine with another elements, or this may exist in combined state. So the chief ore is horn silver. Horn silver is AgCl, silver chloride, or sometimes this may exist in sulfide. Now if suppose look at this, if we have this Ag2S sulfide, now this sulfide will concentrate by froth flotation process. Concentration of this sulfide by froth flotation process. Now after this, we have devised a specific method for concentration of this silver. And if we go back to the different methods for concentration of ores, one of the method that we have explained was leaching, chemical method for concentration. So in this silver we are going to use the chemical method, and this method is known as McArthur Forest cyanide. McArthur Forest cyanide method. So we use this specific method. This was a specific method used for concentration of gold and silver. So now look at this. We have this McArthur Forest cyanide. Now we take this Ag2S. Now this is mixed with sodium cyanide, that is aqueous solution. Along with this, some oxidizing agent, that is from aerial oxidizing thing. So we have this solid reacts with sodium cyanide. We take this reacted with oxygen. When this gives you, or simply you can say silver reacts with sodium with oxygen. So what is happening is, we take this and this gives you silver goes into the solution by formation of complex with cyanide, and this sodium combines with sulfide and this gives you sodium sulfide. So now look at this. The moment this sodium sulfide is formed, this sodium sulfide is further oxidized by oxygen in presence of water, because we are having aqueous solution. When this gives you sodium sulfate plus sodium hydroxide is formed. So the reason for using this oxygen here is, if there is any sulfide formed, this sulfide should be converted into sulfate. So look at this. In this reaction, now look at this, we have this soluble complex of silver with cyanide. We remove this soluble complex. Now this soluble complex is treated with a more reactive metal like zinc. So this being more reactive, this is acting as a reducing agent which reduces silver in +1 state, and this zinc goes into the solution with this cyanide. So this gives you silver solid plus we have this soluble complex of zinc. So this goes into the solution. So this is McArthur Forest cyanide from silver sulfide. If we have this horn silver AgCl, we can take the same reaction. Now look at this, we have this AgCl. This is treated with aqueous solution of sodium cyanide. When silver goes into the solution as soluble complex, and this Cl combines with sodium to give you sodium chloride. So now we take this NaAgCN all twice. Now this is made to react with zinc. When zinc displaces silver and silver is reduced and zinc goes into the solution. So now look at this, we recover this silver. The moment we have this silver is refined by electrolysis. Refining by electrolysis. And now look at this, in this refining is by electrolysis, electrolytic refining, just you have mentioned you earlier. So in this electrolytic method, we impure metal rod is made as anode and pure metal is made as cathode. So during the electrolysis process, silver from impure metal, that is anode, goes into the solution as silver ion, and that silver ion is reduced at cathode, and we get this pure silver. Along with this refining, one of the method that we used for was cupellation method. When silver is associated with some unwanted lead. So in this copulation method, this impure metal containing lead is heated in a crucible, oval shaped crucible made of cement, and a blast of hot air is passed through. So when this blast of hot air is passed through, lead will be oxidized by oxygen and is converted to powdery lead oxide, and this powdery lead oxide goes off with a stream of air, leaving behind the silver. So this is the way by which we can refine this. Now in the same way, we can also carry out metallurgy of gold, because the process is exactly identical. Metallurgy of gold, and we know that gold is a native element, so it exists as free uncombined state. So for this, now look at this concentration of this ore. Now this concentration, again we use this MacArthur Forest cyanide. MacArthur Forest cyanide method, same method we are using here. So we have looked at this impure gold. Now this impure gold is treated with sodium cyanide aqueous in presence of air. When this reacts with gold, and gold goes into the solution as soluble complex of cyanide plus sodium hydroxide is formed. Now in the fourth step, in the second step, we take this soluble complex, this soluble sodium gold cyanide complex. This is treated with zinc metal. When zinc displaces gold from the reaction complex, and gold is deposited here, plus zinc goes into the solution by formation of complex with cyanide. So we have this purified gold. Once we have this purified gold, the next method is refining. So we have to refine this. So during this refining, the only method used for this gold is electrolytic refining. So we have this electrolytic refining. By this we get 50, almost pure gold. So now if you look at this, the metallurgical process of gold and silver is exactly identical. Even the method used for concentrations MacArthur Forest cyanide, the reaction is exactly similar here, and everything remains similar. So this is the metallurgy of gold and metallurgy of silver. Now next we have the metallurgy of metal aluminum का metallurgy हम लोग सीखेंगे. So without wasting time, let's start with. So the chief ore of aluminum is bauxite. Bauxite formula is Al2O3 with 2 water molecules of crystallization. Then we have concentration. Now again the main method for concentration of aluminum, that was again leaching process. So there is a specific name, and that specific name is known as Bayer's process. Bayer's process. Now this being a chemical method, so we use a specific agent which only deals with the mineral ore. So now look at the steps involved in this Bayer's processes. We take this impure bauxite, that is Al2O3, that is hydrated oxide. Now this bauxite, this is bauxite. Now this bauxite is treated with aqueous sodium hydroxide. Because we use this aqueous sodium hydroxide, because the reason being this Al2O3 is soluble in aqueous sodium hydroxide. Impurities are not soluble except for some silicates. If you have some silicates, then this may combine with sodium hydroxide to give you sodium silicates. Rest impurities will remain as unreacted solid, so we can easily separate these two. So when this reacts, this gives you the soluble complex that is known as sodium meta-aluminate. Sodium meta-aluminate, or this is written as NaAlO2. So this is soluble. And now look at this, since we are dissolving this bauxite in sodium hydroxide excess, so the solution is basic in nature. Now we take this filtrate liquid portion, we throw out this impurities, solid, because there is impurities, we require this filtrate, that is liquid portion. From this we have to regenerate aluminum oxide. So we take this filtrate NaAlOH4, that is sodium meta-aluminate. Now solution being basic, we pass through an acidic gas, carbon dioxide gas is passed through. So the moment we pass through this carbon dioxide, solution will be neutralized, and when carbon dioxide is present in sufficiently large quantity, this soluble sodium meta-aluminate, the aluminum is crystallized out as white crystalline solid. So aluminum precipitates out as crystalline solid of aluminum hydroxide, plus sodium goes with this carbon dioxide and this forms sodium bicarbonate. Now we take this solid aluminum hydroxide. Now this aluminum hydroxide solid, on heating, the water molecules associated is removed and this is converted into purified bauxite. And this Al2O3, this is completely free from impurities, and this is what we call as alumina. So alumina is purified bauxite. Bauxite is the ore which contains some impurities. So this is Bayer's process. By this Bayer process, we purify this bauxite into alumina. Once we have this concentrated, the next part is reduction. Because we have to convert this aluminum present in aluminum oxide as aluminum. Now look at this. This aluminum oxide Al2O3, its melting point is very high. Second, this Al2O3 is non-conducting. ये जो alumina है, that is high melting point. Second, this alumina is non-conducting. Now for this reduction, now look at this. This being very high melting point, carbon reduction is not possible. First of all, reduction with carbon is not possible because its melting point is very high. Second, even if we carry out the reaction at that very high temperature, then the aluminium form will further react with carbon to give you aluminium carbide. So because of this reason only, we cannot use carbon reduction here. So carbon reduction is not possible because of this two reasons. Melting point of Al2O3 is very high, so reaction is not favorable. Even if this high temperature is achieved, then aluminum reacts with carbon at that high temperature to give aluminum carbide. So we require aluminum, not aluminum carbide. Though first carbon may reduce aluminum from this aluminum oxide, but since the temperature is very high, at that very high temperature we have metal in molten state, so that molten metal may combine with carbon to give you aluminum carbide. So the ultimately the final product will be aluminum carbide, not aluminum. So because of this, we cannot reduce this alumina or the bauxite with carbon. So if we cannot use a reducing agent, the only option left is we have to undergo electrolysis. So this is electrolytic process. So we have to use electrolytic reduction. So in this electrolytic reduction, a specific method is used which is known as Hall-Héroult process. Now in this Hall-Héroult process, we take a steel vessel, because since this is electrolytic process, so we need to have cathode and anode. So anode is steel vessel lined with carbon. So we have a vessel made of steel and inner of this steel is lined with carbon. So that means indirectly we are using carbon as an anode. Then we have cathode. Cathode is also carbon. So in both this case, now we use cathode and anode made of carbon. So carbon is used as a cathode or anode. Sorry, there is a mistake. Now this steel vessel lined with carbon, this is cathode, and anode is graphite carbon. So we take this steel vessel lined with carbon as cathode and graphite as anode. Now look at this. The alumina obtained from bauxite is a high melting point and is non-conducting. Now since this reduction should be electrolytic, we have to pass electric current, but this Al2O3 has been non-conducting. So for this, what we do is to make the solution conducting and to decrease the melting point, cryolite is added. Then cryolite is added. So cryolite is NH3 AlF6 plus calcium. This mixture is added. So the reason for addition of cryolite is to lower or reduce the melting point. It reduces the melting point, so the reaction can be carried at a much reduced temperature. Second, it increases the conductivity of solution. So once we have this, we can easily carry out electrolytic reduction. So let's see what is taking place in oxidation and reduction process. Now anode. Now look at this, we have a carbon from graphite, and now the solution melt contains oxide from melt, because we are melting this alumina Al2O3. So this decomposes to give you oxide ion. Now carbon combines with oxide ion to give you carbon monoxide plus some electron may be released. So one of the product is carbon monoxide. Now this melt may also react with oxide from the melt, and this may give you carbon dioxide and with release of 4 electrons. So carbon combines with oxygen released at the by melting of this alumina to give you carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide gas. So these two gases released at anode. Whereas at cathode, we have looked at this Al plus 3. This Al plus 3 takes up 3 electron and this is reduced to aluminum metal. So aluminum metal is reduced here Now we added this cryolite. So what is happening is, now look at this. We have AlF3. These decompose to give you Al plus 3 plus F minus. So F minus, this may oxidize to give you fluorine. So this will reduce to give you L aluminum. This fluorine, this fluorine again may combine with Al2O3 to give you AlF3. So this is what is happening. So ultimately look at this, we are getting this aluminum. So this aluminum is reduced here and carbon reacts with oxygen and this produces carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. So this is how we undergo reduction of aluminum. Now look at this. Once we have this, the final step is purification. So as we know, purification is carried out by electrolysis again, electrolytic refining. So electrolytic refining with the impure aluminum is made anode and the pure aluminum is made cathode. We carried out the reaction by passing through electric current and electrolytic cell, and while we get pure aluminum. Now finally we have the metallurgy of iron. So first of all, let's see what is the chief ore. Chief ore of iron is hematite. Hematite is the chief ore of iron, Fe3O4. Now after this ore, next is concentration. Concentration of ore. Now look at this. This iron oxide, that is hematite, being magnetic in nature, we can use magnetic separation. Second, look at this. Iron oxide and heavier, iron is heavier in nature, so there's a specific gravity difference between these impurities and this hematite ore. So we can also use gravity separation. So the method for concentration of this hematite is gravity separation and magnetic separation. So once we have this, then the next part is reduction. Reduction into metal. Now this reduction of the concentrated hematite ore is carried out in a instrument known as blast furnace. So this is the diagram which depicts the blast furnace. Now if you look in this blast furnace, now look at this, there is a tapering in. This is the outer lining, and from on the top of this blast furnace we mix the crushed metal ore, that is concentrated, plus limestone plus coke. These are mixed in a powder form and this is introduced from the top and this goes downwards. Now we are passing through blast of air and oxygen and this is heated from bottom. So this is the depiction of blast furnace. In this blast furnace there are 4 main zones. The lowest portion, which is much closer to the heating point and the blast of air or oxygen is passed through. The bottom point is known as combustion point. This is having the highest temperature. Above this combustion point we have a fusion zone. Temperature range is 1200 to 1500 degrees centigrade. Above this fusion zone we have central zone, which is nothing but the slab formation zone. Temperature range being 800 to 1000 degrees centigrade. Above this we have a reduction zone. Now look at this, what is happening in this 4 different zones. We are introducing the crushed metal ore, limestone, coke and silica from the top. As this mixture is introduced in the force reduction zone, so what is happening is this goes downward. This being the highest temperature, the coke goes downward. As the coke goes downward, the carbon combines with oxygen at very high temperature. When this gives you carbon dioxide. So since the temperature is high, the moment this carbon dioxide is formed, this will rise up, and this again carbon dioxide combines with carbon to give you carbon monoxide. So initially carbon dioxide will be formed as gases from gas being lighter, this rises up. As this rises up, this means more quantities of carbon, temperature being very high. So again at this high temperature, carbon combines with carbon dioxide. When this is converted into carbon monoxide, so this is what is happening at the combustion zone. Now in this, look at this reduction zone, the minimum temperature or the uppermost part, that is known as reduction part. Now the moment this carbon monoxide is formed, this carbon monoxide is acting as a reducing agent. So this being gas, this rises up. The moment this carbon monoxide rises up, this carbon monoxide makes ore, that is iron oxide. So this iron oxide reacts with carbon monoxide. When this iron is converted, this iron present in iron oxide is reduced to iron, and this is converted into carbon dioxide. And this Fe3O4 being a mixed oxide, this contains FeO2, O3 and FeO. So the FeO also reacts with this carbon monoxide and is reduced to Fe. So the gas which is formed in the combustion zone, that is carbon monoxide, rises up, and this carbon monoxide reduces the ore, that is iron oxide, into iron. The moment this iron is formed, this iron being heavier goes downward. When this goes downward in the fusion zone, temperature being very high, that is 1200 to 1500, this iron which is formed in the reduction zone goes downward. At this particular point, iron melts. So iron at this point melts and is further collected at the bottommost part, that is molten iron is formed. So this being the density higher than the slag, this is at the bottom part. So the moment this iron is at very high temperature melted formed, so this molten iron can be removed through this. The iron which is obtained from the blast furnace is known as pig iron. So why this is not known as pig iron? Because this contains a large amount of impurities, almost 5% carbon is present as impurity, so this is known as pig iron. Now in the central zone, now look at this, we have limestone. This limestone is calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate decomposed to give you calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Now in this ore, some silicon dioxide may be present, or we can also add silicon dioxide. So now look at this we are introducing calcium oxide indirectly from calcium carbonate. So calcium oxide is metal oxide. So this metal oxide is a basic. So we are using this calcium oxide as a basic flux. This is flux. So calcium oxide is basic. So we are using basic flux to remove this silicon dioxide acidic gangue. So gangue associated with iron oxide is acidic. So to remove this acidic gangue, we use this basic flux, which gives you calcium silicate. So this calcium silicate being lighter than molten iron, so this sits just above this molten iron layer. So from this we can remove solid waste, that is molten slag, and the gas which is formed can be removed at the uppermost portion, that is through an outlet known as exhaust gas. So this is a complete depiction of the blast furnace, 4 different types of zone, and what is the chemical reaction and temperature range which is taking place in this particular 4 different zones. This is the reduction part. Once we have this reduction part, now we have this iron, pig iron. So this isolate this pig iron is the spongy iron that is obtained from the blast furnace. This contains almost 5% carbon. So the iron which contains almost 5% iron which is obtained from the blast furnace is known as pig iron. Then this pig iron is converted into cast iron. So in cast iron, the pig iron obtained from this blast furnace is melted with scrap iron. So this is pig iron plus scrap iron. No, we obtain this pig iron. Now pig iron is melted with scrap iron and is casted or molded into different shapes. So these iron obtained from pig iron after melting with scrap iron, which is casted or molded in different shapes. This is known as cast iron, and this cast iron contains 3%. So impurities is again reduced, and finally this cast iron is converted into wrought iron. So wrought iron is the purest form of iron or malleable iron. This is purest form of iron. This contains 0.1 to 0.25% carbon. So in this way, the iron obtained from the blast furnace is first converted into cast iron by melting with scrap iron, when the percentage of carbon is reduced from 5% present in pig iron to 3%, and this iron is casted or molded to desired shape. And finally, this cast iron is converted into wrought iron, that is malleable. In this, the percentage of iron is 0.1 to 0.25%. So once we have this iron, the final step is refining. So we can also carry out this refining by use of electrolytic refining. So these are some of the chemistries or some of the metallurgical process involving some common or commercially important metals.